What's up everybody, it's Liam from Seawolf Studios, and in today's video we're going to be looking at how to get your game featured. Spoiler alert, nobody knows. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Last week I made a video on how much money our game made, and as people rightly said from that video, had our game not been featured, we would have made nothing. But our game was featured, and it was featured in 13 countries. And while nobody knows the secrets of success, there were definitely some techniques and strategies that we tried to increase our chances of getting featured. It basically comes down to who you know. So, what are the chances of getting featured versus who you know? Well, if you happen to have an outstanding game which just does extremely well through word of mouth, is number one over all of the stores and everything, the chances of you getting featured are quite high because they're not going to be able to ignore it. But the chances of you making that sort of game are very unlikely. Unfortunately, although we all think our games are the best, number one, it's unlikely. So let's move on. Direct contacts. If you know business development managers or app store editors at Google Play or Apple, you can just send them your game and you're good to go. There's a chance that they'll feature it, which is always nice. Press and media contacts, which are no less important. If you have press and media contacts, they'll put your game on their website. There's a chance that business development managers or app store editors will see your game on these popular review websites and feature it. So press media, super important as well. If you didn't know, there's also direct submission channels, so you can directly submit your game to Apple's editors for featuring, and you can do the same with Google. And if you have a high quality direct submission, that increases your chances of getting featured. And if you know nobody, like we didn't at the start, the chances of your game getting featured if you don't know anybody are so slim. You're relying on luck alone. But that is an important thing to note. There's always luck. There's always a chance that your game is, being reviewed by the App Store editors and they like it and they feature it in New Games We Love or anything like that. So just an extra note on this, we didn't get featured in Google Play, so I'm mainly going to be talking about Apple and how you might be able to increase your chances there. Though I guess the techniques would work for Google Play as well if you knew someone from Google. So this is what I like to call the feature flow. This is essentially what you'd go through to try and get your game featured. So if you're looking at direct contacts and media contacts, do you have any? Yes, woohoo, your game is ready. Send it to them, they'll check it out. If they like it, they might feature it. If you don't have any direct contacts like business development managers or media contacts, do some research and reach out. Did they respond? No, keep doing research and keep reaching out to other people. If they respond, woohoo, they might check your game. Woohoo is the end goal here. This is what we're going for. This part is really important, the research and reaching out part, because you don't want to spam reach out. I'll go into a little bit about the techniques and strategies I used when I was reaching out to hopefully make it as organic as possible. I am a human being and not just some robot system that keeps sending emails to them. And then you have direct submissions. Have you submitted it? Yes. No, you just got to wait. Have you submitted it? No. What are you doing? You can submit your game at any time. Submit your game. No. What are you doing? Submit your game. No. Just submit your game. Okay. Now you wait. But remember that the quality of game and submission matters. Like, you need to put the effort in to making sure your game is appealing and that the game could even perform well. You've got to remember that App Store editors are trying to select games that would perform well on the stores. So if you've done an ad campaign, for example, and you've seen a high quality of retention, players are liking the game, or even if you've reached out to media contacts and your game has gotten press on websites, mention that in your submission, because it's only going to prove to them that your game is worthy for the store or worthy for a feature or more likely to do well. Researching and reaching out. S tier for reaching out to people and making new friends is global conferences. There are so many different people, business people, new friends, developers, publishers, press people, app store editors, well, they're just everyone. Everyone's at global conferences. Obviously, the con of that is it's definitely way too expensive for indie noobs like us. And it can be daunting as well if it's your first conference to go to something. You're like, hi, here's my game, please help us in any way possible. So if you've got the funds, go for it. It can't hurt. Local meetups, these are cool because you can meet new friends and it's fairly inexpensive if it's in your area. But the problem might be there might not be anything in your area. It can also be daunting as well if you've never done that before, or if you're a solo indie dev and you haven't got friends to go with, it might be daunting to go to those things. But just try and step out of your comfort zone and meet some new people. And the main one is what we did for Pixel Pirate, was LinkedIn and email reaching out. Now this costs absolutely nothing. It's free. Anyone can do it, but it's not very effective. It takes a lot of hard work and takes a lot of time. Because like I've mentioned before, you don't want to spam these people. You don't want to just mass send out emails. You want to do your research and make it as personal as possible. So with that being said, let me just jump into how I did some LinkedIn reaching out. Clickety click click. So one thing you can do on LinkedIn, which is really good for business networks and connections, is search for people who might be of interest. So for example, you might type in App Store editor and that's who you're looking for, or a business development manager that works at Apple. I'm not going to go into any of their specific profiles because I kind of want to leave that out. That's up to you. And there are some plugins you can use on Chrome which are really helpful. You could try and connect with that person immediately, but the likelihood of them accepting you if you've got no mutual connections, or if they don't know who you are, the chances are they're probably not going to want to connect with you. You can send a message with your connect, which is even better. Or even better, if you have a premium LinkedIn account, you can send a message before you're connected or anything like that. And there you can go into detail about your story, where you know them, why they might be interested in looking at your game. But you'd have to pay for LinkedIn Premium, and that is expensive. One way you can get around this, and one thing that I did, was activated my trial account of LinkedIn Premium. So I had about 7 days of a trial period where I could just message them directly. Another thing that might be useful are these plugins. So there is one called Scrap Chrome extension. There's one Chrome extension. There's one Chrome extension called Scrap where you can find the email on LinkedIn profiles and then send them an email if you prefer to reach out that way. Signal Hire is another one that does essentially the same thing. The key point here is to be as personal as possible. Do your research on that person. Make sure you're not just spamming them with, hey, play my game, lol, lol, lol. Make sure they might have a genuine interest in your game and your story. So for example, our story is we are completely new developers with no experience whatsoever in making games and game development, but we've just released our first game on their platform. See, that might be a nice story for them as editors to publish. They might like to do that. One person viewed my profile who was an App Store editor in US, and it just so happens to be that our first ever feature was in the US and Canada. So coincidence? Probably, maybe, but is there a chance that this App Store editor looked at the profile, played the game, and then the game was in their mind and they ended up featuring it? Could be, but it's still a technique that you can use to reach out to people and hopefully make new connections. Without spamming them, try not to burn any bridges. This might seem a bit shady, but you've got to remember as well that if you have no connections, you have no money for marketing. Like, you have to have a certain amount of hustle to get what you want. If you don't ask, you don't get. A similar thing goes for press. Find some individual press people. There's Pocket Gamer, Touch Arcade, so many different places your game can get reviewed. Do some research, find individual media people, press people, journalists that like to cover similar games that you're releasing, and that's going to help you out a lot. See what they've written before. If you like what they've written before, mention it in your email. Say, hey, I like this article that you did. I played this game because of your article. You need to be as genuine as possible, and that takes time. You're trying to make genuine connections here. So this is one of the direct submissions that you can do. If you have your developer account on Apple, you can go through this, which says, tell us about your Apple game, and the editorial team will showcase a good app. And really spend the time on this. We spent a lot of time trying to tell them about our story and why they might enjoy our app, or why our app is a good fit for the App Store and why it might perform well. But you see here, there are sections for business models and marketing. Remember, they're a business too. They're trying to make money. So editors are going to pick a game what they think will perform well in terms of a business, not just a game they think is cool. Obviously that helps if they think the game is cool, but it also helps to think that you have thought about how your game is going to be successful on the App Store. So with all that being said, that's pretty much it. There isn't really any secret sauce, secret recipe for getting featured. Work hard, try and make some genuine connections, and get your game out there as much as possible. Get people playing your game, get reviews, and don't get featured too early. One problem that we had with getting featured too early was the game wasn't ready for performing at its best. If we got featured now, for example, the game has more retention, more things for players to do, more ways to make money off the game, and it would have performed overall a lot better than had it done when we were featured. Put all of your stat points into luck and hope that your game gets featured, because it can be life-changing. If your game is ready, getting your game featured can be life-changing. So with absolutely no contacts or anything like that, our game got written about and potentially some App Store editors saw our game, which all might have helped our chances in getting featured. But nobody really knows. This video was requested by you guys on Reddit. All in all, I worked on marketing this for about a week solid, trying to find people, research people, and message people. It's not an easy task, but it is an important one, because now we know press, we know publishers, we know a lot of people that we can send our next game to, and hopefully that gives us more success with getting featured in the future. This video was requested by the people of Reddit who saw the post. Next week, I'll probably do a video on retention and what we learn about retention when releasing our mobile game. But if there's any other videos that you guys want to see about mobile games or games in general, then let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.